Why is it 2025 and it's still hard for black women to find a hairstylist? I don't know, but we're going to talk about it. Hey, what's up everybody? It's your girl V and I am back yet again with another episode of LoveVeeTalks. Before we get started, you already know, please do not forget to follow your girl on Instagram, TikTok, Lemonade at LoveVeeTalks. And if you're interested in collaborating or promo, LoveVeeTalks@gmail.com. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I feel like y'all have seen before, but I kind of wanted to give my take on it because I have my own experiences with this as well, with finding a hairstylist, moving to a new city, finding somebody like in my area, within my price range, all that stuff. So we're going to talk about it. So I think before I actually go into my thoughts about our just culture with hair, specifically black women, I wanted to talk about my personal experience. So I grew up in a salon. So my grandma, she owned a cosmetology school. So I was used to all the girls, learning how to do hair, everybody, helping each other out, borrowing products from each other, and for me, it was always a great experience. Like sometimes getting your hair done can be annoying, but I always feel like I had a good time, especially as a little girl getting my hair done, and everybody's learning and having a good time, laughing, and they say stay out of grown folks' business, but I feel like that was the acceptable place to be in grown folks' business, specifically grown black women business, okay? And I loved it. I loved every single second of it. But I feel like a lot has changed with the culture around our hair and getting our hair done. And I really want to dive into it. So I want to share some experience with y'all as far as so let me just start off by saying that I moved to Dallas, okay? And I just knew that Dallas was one of the great lands of getting your hair done. It was a bigger city than what I'm used to. And so I'm like, surely I can find a good hairstylist. Now, obviously, if you have different needs, you're going to need a different stylist, because it's very, very rare from my experience to find a stylist that specializes in a multitude of things. So if somebody specializes in natural hair, they typically do not specialize in doing braids, sew-ins, and weaves. If you are lucky to find somebody, y'all just drop your girl in the comments. Okay, I don't even care if it's a guy. I don't care if they know how to do all those things. Okay, braid, some weave, natural hair care, put them in the comments. I don't care who they are. If they're good at it, if they're good at their craft, that's all I need. Okay, so I want to share with y'all one experience that I had where it was not the best. It wasn't the worst. I will say that it was not the worst. Okay. So I needed a braider to get my hair done. I wanted to go out of town, and I was like, you know what? Let me look for a braider. So there were a few things that I ran into with finding a braider. So a lot of the things that I ran into was mainly location. Now, I do not mind traveling to get my hair done, but I think the most agitating part of the process for me to find somebody was the availability, because they will have like a limited schedule. So it's like Monday through Friday, and they only work to 2:00. They work from like 9 to 2. So it's like, okay, if you're a braider, then you're probably only going to be able to do like 1 or 2 clients depending on what they're getting. Or if you're not available on the weekends, so that means that I need to take off a day of work to get my hair done. Okay, now I am not shy of doing that. If I have to do that, then yes, I will get that done. But it is agitating process, just because a lot of stylists, they want you to have your hair blow dried. They want your hair washed and blow dried before you come, specifically braiders. Now, keep in mind, y'all, I do know that the standards for getting your hair braided is a little bit different from getting your hair done. And I actually want to do a little bit more research on that, because from my understanding, for you being licensed, like that's something that you should be doing. But I could be wrong, y'all. I could be wrong. So if I have any braiders, stylists, if y'all can educate me on that, I would love that conversation. But yeah. So that was like two things. So it was like the scheduling, the limited scheduling, and the getting my hair washed and blow dried before my appointment, and location. So I know, of course, the girls love the hashtags. They love to put in their bio, in their about me, whatever, where they're located. And so I would find a Dallas braider, but they weren't in Dallas. Now, I don't have a problem with traveling, but it comes an issue where when I think you're in Dallas, I think that you're like very close in the vicinity, right? Y'all, I found this one girl and her work was bomb. She has a lot of followers. She has a lot of supporters. People are always reposting her work. So I'm like, great, beautiful. I don't mind traveling. Okay. So it said that she was in Fort Worth. So if you are familiar with the Dallas area, Dallas and Fort Worth are different. I did not know that until I moved here. I didn't realize that until I moved here. So please don't judge me. But so it said Fort Worth. Now, mind you, if I don't have a problem with taking off work, cool, I will travel to get my hair done. Y'all, when I looked at this girl's location, she was past Fort Worth, y'all. Past Fort Worth. She was like 30 minutes away from Fort Worth. Now, if you are familiar, so there's Dallas, and then you have Fort Worth, and then she was on the other side of Fort Worth. So I would have to drive through Fort Worth to get to her. Girl, you're not in Fort Worth, but I ain't mad at you. You booked and you're busy. So obviously that is not an issue. But for me, it is, because I don't want to go. I don't want to have to drive 2-3 hours, because that's my whole day. Well, it'll feel like 2-3 hours, because with the traffic, y'all know anything about Dallas traffic, it is nothing to play with. But yeah, so that was a doozy. I ended up finding a stylist who, she had a lot of reviews as well, and she actually was in Dallas. And I was like, beautiful, I scored, paid my deposit, great. She said, come wash and blow dried, cool, beautiful, great. So y'all, the day of my appointment, I was scheduled for like 9 a.m. She texts me before my appointment. I'm getting ready, y'all. This girl texted me, wasn't a question. She told me, mind y'all, my appointment was at 9. She said, I'm going to start your hair at 10. I have to do your hair at 10. This wasn't even a question. Mind you, you don't even know what I have going on for the day. So for you to just tell me what I'm going to do is crazy. But I gave her the benefit of the doubt, and maybe she was in a rush, and I wasn't tripping. I was annoyed, yes, because I obviously, when you get pushed back an hour, especially getting your hair braided, that can definitely affect your entire day. So here's another issue that I kind of have with stylists. The accountability is one-sided. So for example, if you want your client to come on time, they say if you're 15 minutes late, they want to charge you a $10 fee. I don't have an issue with the $10 fee, because if I am late on your time, then obviously, that is more of your time. That is cutting into time that you have going on or with your other appointments. So I completely understand, but it does not seem like there's any incentive or anything that makes sense for the client when we are being inconvenienced. So if you are charging me $10, why are you not taking off $10 for your client when you are inconveniencing them? Now, we know that being at the salon, getting our hair done can take time, and sometimes things get backed up. We get that. But we also understand, girl, if you are overbooked or if you have a lot going on, that is not the client's fault, okay? We have nothing to do with that. We booked at 9 a.m., so we are expecting to be serviced by 9 a.m. I think that any reasonable person is like, okay, even if my stylist is able to sit me down or at least get an assistant to wash my hair or to prep my hair before she actually starts styling my hair, I don't think that most people would care. Even if you don't get service right then and there, I think that most people are pretty lenient. Like if I come in at 9, I think most people are pretty lenient if they say if their stylist isn't able to do their hair till like 9:30, especially because things can get backed up, and most people seem like they are very understanding with that part. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of incentive or understanding on the stylist side when it comes to the inconveniencing of the clients. But I could be wrong. Maybe some do. Okay, I don't know. I'm just telling y'all what I've seen. Don't shoot the messenger. I found this braider. Great, whatever. She tells me that she can't start my hair until 10 o'clock. I was a little annoyed, but I was like, whatever. This is like the day or two before I had to go out of town. At this point, it's whatever. Okay. So She texts me and she says that she has to get a TV for her shop. Looking back, hindsight is always 2020. So I get to the salon and she's not there. I think I take that back. She actually just pulled up and she had the TV. The TV was not set up or anything. I'm thinking when you say you need an extra hour, I'm literally thinking you're going to set up your TV. Everything's going to be there. Great. She shows up with the TV, y'all. Now, when she texted me, I want to keep things in mind. When she texted me, I want to say it was around like 8:00. Okay. So she had to go to Walmart to get a TV. She got to the salon at 10:00, the same time that I got there. So in my mind, I was thinking that you were already going to be set up. Y'all, I helped this girl up the stairs and her salon had hella stairs. It was very steep. I helped her get this TV up the stairs. Now, I wasn't tripping because at this point I want my hair done, and y'all know it can be very agitating paying one deposit and it's non-refundable, and then you got to go to another stylist to pay another deposit, and even finding a stylist in a short period of time is very stressful. So I didn't want to have to go through that, so I dealt with what was going on. So then we get up the stairs, she starts prepping my hair, and y'all, whoever she was on the phone with, she was talking about how she had somebody important coming that week and how she had to make sure she restocks her snack bar. Mind you, snack bar empty. Okay, you over my head, in my head currently, talking about how you have to accommodate for somebody that's very special coming. Got it. Okay. So when you were at Wally World, you didn't think to stop to get snacks for your current client, but you making sure that you have snacks and you're set up pretty and nice and comfortable for your celebrity client. Cool. I will never come back to you. And maybe I am an overthinker, but I'm telling you right now, how I look at it is you being in my head currently with no snacks and no setup TV lets me know how not important I am as a client to you, especially because it's not like you didn't go to the store, girl. You went to the store. You could have got a couple snacks for your current client that's in your chair. You didn't even do that. Didn't even offer me a water. Didn't offer me anything. Nothing. Okay. I did not want to go back because you being in my head. Here's the thing. It's not a matter of like you can't do it. You just simply did not do it for your current client because your celebrity client was more important at the time. Right. I see where your head is at. You're in my hair, basically talking about how you're telling this person that you're on the phone with all these plans of like, accommodating for this person coming. And I'm like, I'm looking at an empty snack and drink bar in front of me, and I haven't been offered anything. So I will never return to you. No hard feelings, but that just made me really uncomfortable, especially because, girl, I didn't even get offered water when I helped you haul this TV up the stairs, like nothing. And then you pushed my appointment back with no incentive. No, I'm sorry, girl. No question mark. No, I'll take $10, $15 off. Literally nothing, y'all. Nothing. Honestly, I think that the culture of the salon and the Black community, specifically Black women, has really changed. I think a part of that is hustle culture. And also, if y'all haven't noticed, a lot of these stylists live seemingly like they live great lives, and we love that for you. Like, I want you to live a great life. But what it seems like is that doing hair is like a hustle. It's not really a passion for a lot of people. That's what it appears, because I feel like that's why the customer service can be lacking. And I feel like that's why when it comes to accommodating for clients, it's not a natural thing, because when you're looking at dollar signs and not really thinking about the health of your client's hair, making sure they have the best experience, you're scheduling all your clients back to back, trying to make as much money as possible in a short period of time. It's giving hustle culture. I think that sometimes the miscommunication between stylist and the client is very much so muddy. Like, the waters are very muddy, because I've seen this conversation over and over again where a client would say the pricing, right? And then the stylist would say, well, you're not my target client. But then they'll also say, I gotta live, like I have to pay for my living. Or they'll also say, well, I have to charge my worth. Now, here's the thing. Nobody should be telling you not to charge your worth, but I feel like what's missing is the compassion, the understanding, the customer service, and being reasonable. Okay, and let me explain that. So if y'all aren't familiar with Peach McIntyre, I actually like Peach. I know people have their reservations about her, but I actually like Peach because no matter what, she seems like a woman that has like a lot of hustle in her. Like no matter what, she's going to take care of her kids, no matter what, she's going to make her dollar, and no matter what, she's going to strategize, and she knows how to work social media for her, and she's really, really good at it. Nobody can argue that. So she has said for braiders to do a braid special for, I believe, like $30, right? And so some stylists had tried it out, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'll do like a 2 or 3 braid special, something like that, where it's like a simple style where it only takes them a short period of time to do. And so a few stylists were getting online saying like, oh wow, Peach is great for saying this, Peach is great for suggesting this, like, oh my god, I made my rent in a couple of days, oh my god, I did this. And it's like, why did it take Peach to say that when clients have been saying this for a really long time? Another thing too that I've noticed is that majority of the style is a la carte. So for example, if you're getting a sew-in, the curls aren't included. If you're getting a sew-in, the curls, the style isn't included. So when they have to layer your hair, that's not included. Now I completely understand that does take more time, completely makes sense. But it does become a doozy, and it does become a headache, because like when y'all read some of these stylist websites, I can see how people can easily get confused, or like just not completely understanding, because there's so many rules, and it's like, okay, am I going to the military or am I getting my hair done? The style is literally just like, if I'm paying for a sew-in, right, especially if the sew-in is not cheap, if the sew-in is $250, right, and you're telling me that I have to pay like an extra $20-$30 just to get it curled, but then I also have to pay like another $30 to get it cut in light layers or heavy layers, whatever. I can understand the coloring part. Like if somebody wants highlights or whatever, obviously that takes more product, that takes more time, completely understandable. But I think what confuses me is that if I'm going to get a sew-in, 9 times out of 10, I want it styled. Like, why aren't styles being included? That's what kind of confuses me. So I actually had this talk with one of my friends, okay, and I think it makes sense. I feel like it makes sense. So we were talking about that very thing, about how the style isn't included in getting the service. So if you get a sew-in, the style isn't included, like the crimps or the curls, right? So we were saying like, well, why don't they just charge a price that fits better for them, put on the booking site that the style takes a little bit longer? So for example, if you say a sew-in takes an hour and a half, put on there 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. So that way, if a person wants the curls or they want the light layers, it's included. You following me? Does that make sense? And if you also raise your price a little bit to where it makes sense for you, like when you're taking extra time to do the curls or the light layers or whatever, then you're not losing out on anything, and you're charging one price for the same style. Does that make sense, y'all? I feel like it makes sense, especially because anybody that's like me, sometimes you may change your mind when you get to the salon. Sometimes you change your mind and you're like, you know what, I don't want curls, I want crimps, or maybe I don't want small curls, but I want like body wave, or because sometimes you just literally don't know. And I feel like it makes more sense if they charge a little bit more. So if your sew-ins are $250, just charge a flat rate of $3, and that way the style is included. And then you also, on your booking site, you explain that the style takes 2 hours and 15 minutes instead of an hour and a half. I personally feel like that makes sense, because it's like, oh, okay, this person, because to me, when I look at a website to where I have to put everything a la carte, it can get confusing, because I've actually made a mistake a couple of times. Like one time I thought that I had booked for a silk press, but I actually only booked for the wash, the blow dry, and the trim, and I was so hurt because she did not have time to do my silk press, and I was crushed, y'all. I was so crushed. It wasn't her fault, it was my fault. But I also understand that for people, when you're booking, it can be a lot. Like it can be very, very stressful. But also too, I saw a couple of stylists talk about how booths and suites were the downfall of the culture in the black salon. And that made so much sense. Like, y'all know how the barbershop just has the sense of community, like they can get together, laugh, have a good time. I feel like that has definitely gotten lost with black women in hair salons. Like, I really miss that. Like, remember I told you in the beginning how I grew up in a salon. Like, my grandma had a cosmetology school, and I miss seeing all the girls. I miss seeing other women getting their hair done, you know, like us being in the same room. Like, I miss that. I miss the culture, and I miss the conversations and me being nosy. You know, I just feel like it just was a cultural thing, and it was just a way for us to just really get together, you know, and have like a sense of community, and it felt good. I don't know, y'all, like I feel like it's a combination of a few things. But also another thing too that I want to touch base on is red flags. And I want to touch on some green flags as well, but I want to talk about some red flags when booking. So some red flags that I have seen are people requesting that you DM them to book. Now, I know that there are a lot of scammers out there, so I see why people are very skeptical when booking a stylist, because it's like, okay, you want me to book via DM, but how do I know, because it's not on a reputable website, that this is like I can get my money back if I'm scammed, or you're not trying to scam me out of my $40-50 to book my appointment. Now, is that always a red flag? No, but I honestly would be very cautious, especially if you are not familiar with this stylist, if you have never gotten your hair done with this person and you know nothing about them, you haven't heard word of mouth, nobody ever told you they got their hair done with them. I completely understand the skepticism, because it's definitely scary out here, and with the cost of living going up, who got time to be losing their deposit? Another thing too is deposit via Cash App or non-reputable websites. Now, Cash App obviously is reputable, but I do know that it is very, very, very difficult, if ever you will ever get your money back from Cash App. Okay, so be very, very, very careful with the site that you use to deposit. And also, I don't even know if you can really get your money back from Apple Pay, but please be careful. I prefer to use booking websites when they have a really clean website and they have an option on there where you can use your card, you can enter in all your information, and you receive a receipt via email or text message. I feel safer doing that, and also just be more mindful of that, especially if you're booking a new stylist. Another red flag to me, and this is something that I've seen quite a trend in horror stories about people getting their hair done, was the lack of communication. So one thing I've seen is a lot of people say like, yeah, you know, I was trying to book this stylist to get my hair done and her communication was spotty, and you know, but because I booked, I figured, okay, I would just go ahead and, you know, get my hair done by this person, and then poof, this person disappears. Or they hit them up the same day of their appointment and say, oh, sorry, can we rebook, or something like that. Like, the communication is very spotty or non-existent. So that's very much so like a huge red flag for me, someone that does not communicate very well. Now, I understand if you get busy, I completely understand, but again, that responsibility should not fall on the client, because you are the stylist, you are the one educated in this field, you are the one that should be making your clients feel comfortable, especially because people are spending their hard-earned money with you. So if I'm not hearing a response at least in like 2 to 3 hours, and I honestly feel like that is being very generous, I feel very uncomfortable, especially if I've never been styled by this person before. I think that obviously, if you are currently, you know, with your clients, I don't expect you to respond right then and there. But I think obviously like a decent time is to get some sort of response within like a 3-hour window. I think that that's very generous, especially if your client is under the dryer, or let's say if you're braiding, if you can take like 2 minutes to, you know, text back, or if you need an assistant, or I know that they have like auto text, or if you can have all the questions, the common questions that most people will ask you listed on your website, that will be clutch. Because sometimes, you know, it could be something really simple, and you know, it's great to just have that on your website so people aren't constantly calling and texting you. Because I listen, I want to be fair on both sides, because I also understand that if you are busy, that you do have clients, so it can be difficult to respond. But if you can get an assistant, or if you can, put all your common questions on your website, that would be awesome. That would be great. And that would alleviate some of the stress from your client when trying to book with you. I also want to share some green flags that I love. So I love a girly that knows how to communicate. If there's an issue, they know how to resolve, they know how to problem solve. If there was an honest mistake on the client's end, nobody should be crucified for an honest mistake. Like, I've seen some stylists get online and they're like, oh, well, this person booked this and she should have been paying more attention. Sometimes stuff just happens. Like, if it's a simple mistake as a stylist, especially having some form of professionalism, like, what, if it's something that's not out of my way, or something that I can, just to make this person more comfortable, and I can obviously see that it was an honest mistake, I can do X, Y, and Z. That shows a lot. That shows a lot about who you are as a person, not even just a professional, but just as a person, that you are willing to accommodate and educate your client on, the mistake that they made. And I haven't really heard people talk about this one, but your stylist making suggestions. I don't trust stylists who would just put any style in anybody's head just to make some money. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have traction alopecia. No reputable stylist, no licensed stylist should be putting tight ass braids in your head, knowing you already have traction alopecia. Now, you cannot tell your client what to and to not do, but it's just like, hey, here is an alternative style. Because I've noticed you have a little tension, this may not be the best style for you. I have so much respect for stylists who put the health of their clients' hair above anything, because that shows a lot about them as a professional, their education, and how much they care about their clients. I feel like that is a huge green flag, and I love that. I feel like that's what separates the girls who are in hustle culture and girls who actually love hair and want the best for their clients. Do any of y'all have any horror stories, red flags, green flags when it comes to getting your hair done? Do you feel like the cultural shift in the black hair salon is, hustle culture, or looked at as like a luxury? Like, what do you think about that? And also share your own personal experience with that. But I love y'all so much. Do not forget to follow your girl on Instagram, TikTok, Lemonade LoveVeeTalks, and hit that subscribe button. And if you're interested in collab or promo, LoveVeeTalks@gmail.com. I love y'all so much. Bye.